Okay, guys, welcome to Guest Life Podcast, episode 13. We're lucky enough to have Dave DiDonato in the chair there. Thanks for coming in, Dave.
Thanks for having me, Dan. It's a privilege to be here.
We've Dave is the co-owner of Hammer Strength and Performance On Ice Performance Center, and newly Canadian Strength Supply. Me and Dave go way back to the days of my glory days trying to go to the CFL. As well as, I had a small hockey career playing some junior D down at SST. So I've known Dave a really long time. We go back. We also share a line for Guest Plumbing and Heating's hockey team. We've got the B League squad down at Triple Rinks during the summer. But Dave's a huge Hamiltonian, new father, and we're so happy to have him on the show.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Getting started, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Guest Life Podcast. We're really trying to showcase Hamiltonians, entrepreneurs. Dave is just a character in his own, giving back to the community anytime he can. He's going to talk a little bit about what he's doing currently to give back during COVID. Right now we're shooting in the time of COVID-19. So, fitness and sports is a big part of everybody's life. But I think for entrepreneurs, it's especially important to keep your mind right, and then it gets your body right. And Dave's going to talk a little bit about how he got into the industry, a couple of his credentials, and then obviously, what he's got coming down the pipeline. So, Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into these three different entrepreneurial journeys? Yeah. They start off together, but tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so On Ice Performance Center is a hockey training facility that we cater to all types of athletes. We have 8 and 9-year-olds learning how to skate, shoot a puck, play goalie, all the way up to professional hockey players, NHL hockey players. And then Hammer Strength and Performance is a subsidy of that, where we train athletes of all sports, hockey, football, soccer, basketball, Olympic weightlifters and powerlifters. And then from there, we had this idea of Canadian Strength Supply of making Canadian-made products for people that work out, whether it's singlets or belts or straps, so whatever someone would need in the gym. We used to get our stuff overseas, but now we're switching to Canadian-made stuff. We're really excited about that.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I remember going to the gym. I couldn't squat. I think I could bench press more than I could squat.
Oh, yeah. You were benching like low 3s and squatting like mid 2s. We got it up, though.
Yeah. So Dave put me through a pretty rigorous program. I think it was called the Russian death squats. That you put me through that program for 12 weeks.
Yeah.
I was pretty proud of myself, A, for making it through, but B, being able to walk every other week. I could walk for 2 days. Yeah. But what really blew me away is kind of how specific you can get with training to make things fire. And how do you take a kid, like what age do you start them off?
Like training in the gym?
Yeah.
Our youngest athletes are 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Oldest around like 40.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like why you chose On Ice Performance, so hockey, and then obviously Hammer Strength. You do all different sports, right?
Yeah. So I owned a gym previously, and one of the members of the gym, he ran a goalie school outside of On Ice. Okay. So he was kind of a subcontractor within that, and he would outsource all his clients to me for strength training in the summertime and all his camps. And then when he was in the process of purchasing On Ice Performance, he came to me and asked if I wanted to partner with him so we could do everything in one building, kind of like a one-stop shop. And I thought it was a great idea. I was able to make the switch, and I told him, I said, I want to train more athletes from other sports. I don't want to just limit myself to hockey. And he said, no problem. We'll create a sub-business on that end. And then that's where Hammer Strength was born. And we named it Hammer Strength for a couple of reasons. Hamilton, the hammer.
Nice.
When you're training, there's a saying, be the hammer, not the nail. So no matter what sport you're playing, you want to be the hammer. You don't want to be the one getting hit. You want to be the one hitting.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
it's just simple math. It makes sense. And then so tell us a little bit about kind of how you got into sports. I know the kid can dangle, guys. I mean, he can't, he doesn't always bury, but he gets to the net pretty quick. So, I mean, you're one of the fastest guys on the ice with us.
Thanks.
Like, how did you get involved? You went, what university go to?
I went to Brock University. Okay. Yeah, I took kinesiology there. And kind of my interest in training kind of was bred a little bit before that. In high school, early high school, I was always like a relatively skillful player in both rep hockey and soccer. I got cut from both of them because I was weak, I was slow, and I didn't have the endurance, right? I didn't train at all. So I got cut from those teams. Even though I thought I had the skill, I just couldn't keep up with the pace of play. And that kind of kickstarted my interest in training. And then I took an exercise science course in high school, which I excelled at. I thought I was interested in it, and I did well in it. And then that kind of led me to learning to taking kinesiology at Brock. I did my 4 years there, and I was lucky enough to get, through a friend, I got connected with Steve, and he gave me a 3-month internship, and then I was hired after that. So basically my first job out of university was working at the strength conditioning gym, and I was training NHL and CFL athletes right away. So that kind of sparked my interest, yeah.
I remember being down there, like, guys, this gym, if you can imagine it, smaller gym, like, not your typical, Good Life gym or something like that, but, has a, like, all I remember is the first couple of times, like, puking, and then, like, also, like, I would hyperventilate, but I'd want to try to play it off like I was okay. So I'd go to my truck and just sit there and try not to die, and, like, wait till I had caught my breath enough to drive home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But training and being around elite athletes really, it's humbling for a lot of different reasons, but also it's very interesting to see kind of, when someone's it's like an entrepreneur, right? Like when someone just gets it, when someone's just on, I find training, like, it's so much to do with mental and willpower. Yep. But seeing those athletes, like I was lucky enough, I think I was 17 or 18 at the time. I lost a bunch of weight with you. Dave was my trainer. But yeah, like just seeing these elite athletes, these CFL guys, these NHL guys that would come back and, they would spend an hour stretching before their workout.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the mindset is half of it, right? Like, people, I'm sure, get that aura off of you when you're like talking about business and stuff like that. It's the same thing when you would see these pro athletes training, how seriously they take it, because even though it's their off season and they're not currently getting paid for that, that is their job, to train and to prepare themselves for the next season.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's honestly, it's special to watch, but it's also like, it's just like being in a room with entrepreneurs, right? Like you just feed off each other's energy, and like, it's not always a competition, but it is definitely like, it elevates you 100%.
Yeah. Like it's competitive, but it's also motivating, right? You want to be better than that person, not because you want them to fail, but just because you want to be the best. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you're juggling 3 different businesses.
3, yeah. Yeah.
And in March, you had something special happen to you?
Yeah, I had a baby March 18th, the week before the shutdown. Everything shut down due to COVID. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a wild ride. Like, so our baby was born. I was going to take a week or 2 off anyways, just to help my wife and the baby, obviously. But a week after that, our business was forced to close, and we closed for 3 months. So not only was I thrown into this new role as a father, but the uncertainty of my business was hanging in the balance, basically. So it was a stressful time, but it was also a great time to kind of like dig deep and kind of see what I was about during that time.
I think it's amazing. And then, so you were 3 months. Nothing.
Well,
doors
like
shut. You can't really do much.
Doors were shut. We were able to do some online stuff, but like it's not the same, right? Like we didn't charge for anything online. We were just putting out content in terms of, here's some at-home workouts you can do on YouTube, right? Like we would upload the videos and send it to our clients, but that was basically it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like we talk about different avenues, and I find, sometimes there's always that it's happening to me, not for me. And I think like, throughout entrepreneurship, especially during COVID, a lot of it's like, oh my God, I'm in this position because of this. And you don't realize that we're all in it, right? And we're all in it together. So I think I saw you putting out some free content. I thought that was just amazing. I mean, people that were charging for content. There's nothing wrong with that either, right? Different industries, but I think it's awesome. Like, you want to talk about right time. Like, there's no right time to have a newborn and get your business shut down.
Yeah. Like it was certainly like a tough situation for both my wife and I, but like we came out on the other side and we're still chugging along. So yeah, it was we really, both me, my wife, and my business partner, we all three of us kind of grew out of it. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so good to hear.
Yeah.
It's so good to hear, especially, because where's your business located?
70 Hempstead Drive, just off of Nebo Road, right in between Rymel and and Stone Church.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, Hamilton boy, where'd you go to high school?
St. Thomas More. Yeah. Played hockey there. Did not play football. I was not part of the dream team football back in 08 and 09, unfortunately.
So now that you're training elite athletes, you're a father, you're a husband. What's your typical day look like?
Yeah, so it changes pretty much every day, depending on the baby. I'm the first one up in the house, and if my baby wakes up, I take care of her. I change her if she needs it. I do my thing until I usually have to leave the house around 6 or 7, depending on what.
So what time are you waking up? Sorry.
Sometimes 4:30, 5, 4 o'clock. Depends. It depends on the baby. And then I train my morning clients. So I have a group of hockey players and football players that come all morning until about 1 o'clock. I get my workout in, and if I'm working that evening, I will work. And if not, I try and get home before 3 o'clock so I can help the wife with the baby, make sure my wife gets her workout because she needs her workout too. And then do what I can to spend as much time with my family in the evening time. And then when the girls go to bed, I do a little work on the computer, whatever I need to get done from throughout the day, like any back end stuff.
Yeah. And you do all your back end stuff yourself?
It depends on what it is. Like my social media, I do that.
Nice.
Any sort of like reaching out to clients, potential clients, I do that myself. But then any of the finance stuff, we have some people for that.
It's some great business advice is whoever's looking after your money, make sure they know that they do that for a profession.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. It's we work so hard day in, day out to make sure all the money works and money's coming in. But you need to make sure how much money going out, and always hook yourself up with a good bookkeeper
For sure,
and accountant.
definitely, yep.
Ben will say that in our office.
Yeah,
it's definitely a good piece of advice. So, last year you were training, right? You were doing some lifting yourself.
Yep, I compete in Olympic weightlifting. So, like the sport you would typically
just a little side thing.
Yeah, just something like the sport you'd see in the Olympics. I'm by no means on that level. But yeah, it's just something for fun because I feel as a coach that like you need to practice what you preach, and this is something I'm interested in, and I want to be competitive in it, and I want to be as strong as possible. And it helps me with clients because I'm a competitive athlete myself, and it helps me relate to them. And I'm a big component of practicing what you preach.
Yeah.
No one wants a weak strength coach.
No, it's true, man. Like, I mean, you see it all the time in different situations, and you never know anyone's backstory or what they used to do. But I mean, I always like I said, I want a jacked guy taking care of me. I mean, I remember when you were coming in and you were showing me all the moves. It was like nice that you were doing them, and then I was focusing after watching the proper form.
Yeah. Like knowing, like being able to do what like you expect your other athletes to do is huge too.
Yeah, for sure. And then so, how do you make time throughout the day for some Dave time?
Yeah,
I know guest plumbing hockey is a big league.
Yeah, first place this year.
But besides that, like, how do you make time now? Juggling father and all the different businesses.
That's actually one thing I do struggle with. Like my time management is something that I've always struggled with. My wife helps out a lot. She makes sure, like for her too, I have a schedule set. She knows what I'm doing because it affects her as well. Most of my personal time will come when the girls are asleep. And if I'm done my work, I give myself a 10 p.m. bedtime. And if I'm done my work at say 9 o'clock and I have some free time, I'll play Xbox with friends online. Like that hour is something that like I do value, right? Like all day it's like go, go, go. I'm training, I'm stimulated, I train, and then I'm more stimulated. And then I'm at home, I have to watch the baby, I have to help the wife, I have to do stuff around the house, and then I do work. And then that last little hour is time for me just to relax, right? Talk to my buddies on Xbox or something. Like it seems small to like some people, but to me that's a big thing of how I wind down.
If anybody's listening who's not an entrepreneur, who wants to aspire to be an entrepreneur, he said 1 hour. He did not say 8 hours.
Yeah.
He did not say the weekend.
No.
I think that's a big thing that people construe. And, there is a lot of free time as being a business owner, but it's a lot of choice free time, family time and stuff like that. It's really important to have that. I hate work-life balance because I don't think it exists when you excel at certain things. If you want to be a great father, you're only going to give yourself an hour, right? If you want to, excel at work, or you're starting new businesses like yourself, or import, export, whatever you're doing with the, getting new supplies just from Canada, like you've got to make sure you're making that time. And I think that's so important for the next generation, and to just set some expectations in terms of, what your time's going to be. Also, going down the line, how old are you now?
30. Just turned 30.
Just turned 30.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank
So you. That it's not a forever thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're putting in the time now to kind of make that time later. So on top of all this shit that you're doing right now, you're giving back to the community as well. It's kind of a passion thing for you. But tell us a little bit about the Jumpstart program that you're doing.
Yeah.
What organization it's going to, why you got involved, and how you got started.
Yeah. So the Jumpstart campaign is ran by Canadian Tire, and it's to help families who can't afford to put their kids in school or buy equipment for them. It's to help them out. It kind of hits home for me because when I was a kid and I was playing hockey, my parents couldn't afford my sister to dance. Right, because dancing is more expensive than hockey. I don't know if you knew that, but
no,
yeah, it's way more expensive. So they had to take her. They had to take her out of dance, and to make things fair, they wouldn't let me try out for hockey. So I had to play house league hockey that year. And the thought of like that kind of happening to other families, and if I can have any sort of impact on that, and like whether it's them buy the first hockey stick or the first pads or get them to play at least, right? Like that really hits home to me, and it does mean a lot to me. So how it kind of started was I was just trying to lose weight, and I was doing a weight loss challenge, and then my business partner, he decided that he wanted to lose weight too, and he made a challenge with me, and the loser of the challenge had to play a round of golf in a skirt. And we kept talking about it, and he's like, let's donate to a charity. And I said, that's a great idea. I said, right now, after COVID, a lot of families are struggling. And if we can maybe help some families do, like put their kids in that sport or buy them some new gear because they're getting too big for it, and make a huge impact on a family or a child, I was like, let's do that. So I phoned up a friend who works for Canadian Tire, and he was able to donate a signed Connor McDavid jersey. And we're raffling that off at our facility. And then for every pound we lose, we're going to donate $10 to Jumpstart. And we also have a GoFundMe page that goes right to Jumpstart. So people have been donating on that, buying raffles for the jersey. And then however much we lose, we're going to donate that to Jumpstart.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what are you down now?
I'm down about 10 pounds. Yeah. In like 20 days, which is not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah.
How important is it for diet when you get into these challenges?
That's the biggest thing, because I don't really change my training because I train for a sport and I have to do certain movements for that. So nutrition has been the only thing really I've changed drastically.
Really?
Yeah.
And what do you find is most effective?
Just limiting calories and carbs. Yeah.
No more za?
No more. Oh, no more. No more beer. Yeah.
No more weekend beer. No more za with the boys.
No.
Well, but you can't have za with the boys on Xbox. Or what do you do?
No.
Order it to each other's houses?
Yeah. We each make sure we crack it at the exact same time.
That's awesome, man. So how do you, when you talk about mind and body and how they connect, kind of, do you feel like entrepreneurship and physical health and mental health are all connected, or what's your take on that?
For sure. Like, I think you see it more and more with entrepreneurs that are in shape and very fit. In order to achieve like the body you want or the strength that you want, it takes a lot of mental resilience to do that. And in order to be a very successful entrepreneur, you need that same mental resilience, because it's not easy, right? Like none of those are going to be easy. If you can't do one, you're probably not going to be able to do the other.
for sure. And what like so what would be like? Do you find like I'm a morning guy? Like I find I never was. I've never like when people say I'm a morning person. Like I hate getting up. I want to hit snooze. But I think one of the things that kind of sets people apart that I've noticed anyways, as I get a little bit older, I find I'm connected with more parents, and when someone's like, oh, like when I get up and I take the baby, and I'm like thinking in my head like, oh man, I get up pretty early. I'm up at 5. And then you're like, well, no, like I'm up at 4. I'm taking care of my kid. And then I get to the gym for 6. Because I used to train with you at 6 a.m.
Yep. Before work. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to go in early. And,
you did. Yeah.
Like, just so everybody knows, I used to work on the tools. Yeah. And I still got up and trained with Dave.
You did. Yeah. You were grinding then.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm gonna star this one just so show it to my staff so they all know that I actually did go to work.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think like, you get that that boost of energy. I always found it wasn't the workout was great, but I was always the sweat and then the shower and getting ready for whatever it is your day. And now it's transitioned, being a business owner to putting dresser clothes on and coming into the office and feeling fired up and having a protein shake at 9 and being like, I've been up for 5 hours. Let me kill somebody. But that energy I find is just euphoric.
Yeah, well, it's a huge sense of accomplishment to be doing something at a time when most people aren't even awake. Yeah. Right? Like if you're getting up at 5 and doing your thing and going for a run or hitting weights, whatever it is that you want to do, and you're home by 6:37 and you're done, you've already done more in your day than anyone else because they're still sleeping.
Yeah.
Right? So that sense of accomplishment will carry over, and that momentum will carry over through the rest of your day.
And I find it just puts you on a, we're not better than people, but it just puts you it's so personal, right? It clears your mind, clears your energy, and it allows you to. And I find it's as I talk to more entrepreneurs, like the excuses don't come up anymore. I'm a dad of 2. I don't have time. Like, you make time.
You always make time for things that you want to do.
Yeah. Always. And I think putting yourself first is really important before you can start supporting others.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah. So how do you find partnership in business? Like, how do you, connecting with your partner, are you guys yin and yang? Are you guys similar? How do you guys?
Yeah. So in on our day-to-day duties, he's the ice guy. I'm the gym guy. So we don't really cross paths on that. And he's a very understanding guy, and he's a father of 2, so he gets the stuff that I'm going through. He's been through it all, and we make decisions together. If we don't agree, we just like put a pin in it, talk about the next day or our next meeting, and yeah, another big thing. What he does is he gives me the freedom to make decisions, right? If I'm like, hey, I think this is a good idea and we should pursue it. He's like, okay, let's check these boxes and then we can pursue it, right? He doesn't really, he might give me like, okay, but what if this happens? And if I have an answer for that, then he's like, okay, perfect, right? He kind of challenges me and makes sure that I check all the boxes. And then he also gives me free reins. He's like, if you think it's a good idea, let's do it. And vice versa.
That's awesome, man. I think it's super interesting to, again, as you talk to more entrepreneurs and different partnerships, I just partnered up with there's 7 people in a group that I'm part of, and different personalities, and different energies and stuff like that. And I find it so interesting to kind of be self-aware, but also be a good listener, and understand when that someone's passionate about that. Let them run with it. Let me just be supportive. Let me be their number 2 in that avenue or that decision. Because it feels good when it's received as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Not always challenging.
Yeah. And you know what? Like how I said with Derek and I, he's the ice guy. I'm the gym guy. If he has an idea, whether it's something we change on the ice or whether it's a camp or something, I say, yeah, if you think that's a good idea, I'll help you in whatever aspect you need. Do you need me? No. You want me to stay out of it? Fine. If you want as much help as I can give, great. So being supportive also give them the confidence in being successful in whatever they want to do.
That's awesome, man. So we always try to talk to everybody at the end of these podcasts. And what would you tell your younger self? What advice would you give? Being a reflectant, like how does someone that wants to get into being a personal trainer and a coach. How do they get started? Where do they go?
Well, there's like a bunch of certifications you can do. Certifications are great, but also there's the practical part of it and also the experience part of it. And there's also going to like seminars, everything you can do. Learning as much as you can basically is the biggest thing. And you're gonna have to put in the hours. Like you got to work hard. You got to put in the experience training people. I did an unpaid internship for 3 months straight out of university where I had my student loans to pay back. So it was tough. I was working other part-time jobs, but it's something sometimes you have to do.
Where were you working when you were training me? You were working somewhere else?
I was working in Players Paradise on the fields.
Yeah,
and I was working at Old Navy. I was working.
That's where it was.
I was working 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. at Old Navy, doing like stocking shelves and stuff like that. And I'd go to SST. Yeah.
So just so you guys know, he wasn't handed anything,
No.
right? It's not easy.
Yeah.
And you did 3 months unpaid internship, and then you started. It was a very low salary when you started as well, correct?
I was getting minimum wage.
Yeah, as a trainer with a kinesiology degree.
Kinesiology degree, training professional athletes. Yeah.
So I think, for a lot of people, that's an interesting thing to hear. In my opinion, it's an interesting reality, but it's also, that was how many years ago?
7.
7 years ago. So 7 years ago, coming out of, university, wanting to be an entrepreneur, or maybe not knowing you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and kind of taking that road. That's a short amount of time to be where you're at. I think it's, it goes down to work ethic and drive. And, again, he was up every day at 5 a.m. because he had to be, because he had to meet me down there I remember I tried to get you there early because I had to be at work for 7.
Yeah.
But I think that's amazing, man. So how do you guys take on students or people that want to learn?
Like interns?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have interns. We had one last summer.
Yep.
That was the first time we've done one. This summer we didn't take any interns on just due to COVID.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to.
Yeah, because we were limited to the amount of people in the building. But yeah, we do accept interns. And it's sometimes paid, it's sometimes unpaid, depending on the qualifications of the applicant. But yeah, like.
It's amazing, man. I think like, we had Justin on the show before, and he was talking about how he got into the Bulldogs. And, I think, the amount of work that you put in at the beginning to kind of show and prove that you're worth it, you were able to get a job out of it. You were able to make some great connections. And I think it's an amazing story, but it's not over. It's a journey, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, I've known Dave for a number of years, guys. He's been a huge part of my life, getting me fit. The odd time I call him for a meal plan. Also being a line mate and a friend.
Yeah.
So happy to have him. So thank you so much for being on the show.
I really appreciate it, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So everybody, we always in the show a little spiel. Again, this is connecting entrepreneurs in Hamilton and also surrounding areas. Just people that are giving back to the community, making a difference. Using their skills and their knowledge to support this community, and it's great. And I think, guys like Dave, we talk about their story and how they got started. So, everybody that has something had a day one. So, one of the questions we always want to ask ourselves is why not me and why not now? And I think that's really important to kind of ask ourselves. So, Guest Life podcast number 13, Dave DiDonato. We'll have all his handles in the bio. So thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for having me.
See you, man.
See ya.